a Mimbo, a 967 number, and a spare square. This week on Close Talkers, we watched Season 5, Episode 12, The Stall. Hello, Katie.
Hello, Derek. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Good, thank you.
How did you enjoy The Stall?
It was a good one. I didn't write very many notes. I don't know if that's because, I had no notes and it's a good episode, or I was just watching it, or there wasn't really anything noteworthy. I'm not sure.
So I always kind of take a peek over at you to gauge your reaction to the episode while it's happening, and because you're so good looking. And you were laughing at some parts, but you were also kind of I don't know, frowning, confused faced at other ones.
Do you remember when?
No. I think maybe when Tony was in Elaine's apartment, all banged up.
You know what I wrote? I think he looks better with the bandages on his face.
Do you have a thing for the mummy?
No, maybe I was just cringing at Elaine. Because I also didn't think that actor at that time, was very good looking. You think he was good looking?
He has a strong jaw.
He had a very long, horsey face. I think the bandages gave him some volume where he was missing it.
I feel like he was like a stereotypically attractive man for the mid-90s.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get there. What was Jerry's impression of Tony? What was he doing?
Pop your collar and do some T-Rex arms and do the twist.
Yeah, kind of doing
Tony.
the twist.
Tony. We're going to go see Tony.
Like a jazz cat kind of bebop-ba-doodop vibe.
That's Jerry's cool guy impression, I guess.
Apparently.
Yeah. So this episode was written by Larry Charles. It was directed by Tom Sharonis. It aired on January 6th, 1994. Vulture.com ranked it as the 34th best episode, and Screen Crush had it at the 42nd.
I don't know. I guess that's right. I might have put it lower.
I feel like this is Seinfeld's hit its stride. It knows what it is. It's a very
formulaic.
I don't know about formulaic, but it was a very easy episode, right? I don't think there was any big misses in this episode.
No.
All of the storylines I feel were good and funny, and
you know what it has is memorability.
Yeah.
For Can't Spare a Square.
Mimbo.
Yeah. Can't remember any others, but
What about the driver?
I mean, at the end, when Kramer says that to Jane, it is very funny. Kramer, he had up and down in this episode, and when he was really up, when he was trying to tell Jerry that Jane was Erica or whatever, even though it was too much and over the top, I liked it.
Am I? Or am I so sane that I just blew your mind?
That can't be true. Can't it?
Is it? Or is it so possible that your head is spinning like a top? Can't it? Or is your whole world crashing down around you?
So who are the guest stars?
So we had Jamie Gertz playing Erica / Jane. She was in Twister, The Lost Boys, and Still Standing. And then we had Dan Cortese playing the role of Tony, who was the creator of MTV Sports.
Extreme Sports.
No, he would interview sports people on MTV.
Oh.
He was also in Veronica's Closet and Demolition Man. I believe Vulture.com said that this was the best acting of his entire career.
So I didn't know this was Jamie Gertz, so I was looking for who played Jane Erica in the closing credits, because her face is obviously very familiar.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. So when I saw that it's Jamie Gertz, I immediately looked up Gish and Gertz.
What's Gish and Gertz?
It's a t-shirt available from one of our favorite podcasts.
Oh, what movie was she in for?
So Annabeth Gish, who's not in this episode, this is a tangent. There are two actresses from the mid-90s that a podcast we like called How Did This Get Made were fangirling over, remembering how great these two actresses were in the 90s. And so they joked, like, we should make a t-shirt, Gish and Gertz. And they have made a t-shirt. We don't have it. I haven't bought it because I don't know who they are. But Annabeth Gish was in SLC Punk, Mystic Pizza, Double Jeopardy, Wyatt Earp. I think they were talking about someone else who looked like Jamie Gertz and Annabeth Gish.
I don't think it'll be on Jamie Gertz's IMDb page then.
Well, back to the task at hand. Did you remember this episode?
I haven't got a square to spare. Think I nailed it.
I'll read the synopsis. A woman withholds toilet paper from Elaine. George becomes enamored with Elaine's cool guy boyfriend. Kramer keeps calling a phone line. When I read that, I thought maybe this would be an explicit episode. But we don't really... Like, it's not that part isn't the focus of the episode. Like, there's nothing that you and I are going to talk about that's going to make this podcast episode explicit. I don't think.
Do 967 numbers still exist?
Was it 967 everywhere?
I think that was like a term for like...
I thought a 900 number. Well, I guess it would... That's a 900 number.
Yeah.
But like 1-900.
Did like the internet porn industry just like kill phone sex lines?
Do they still exist?
I don't know. It might shock you to learn this. I've never phoned a phone sex line. But we're going to do it live on air. No, we're not.
Except we're going to call 967-1111 instead.
Oh. So we open to two women sitting in toilet stalls. I guess, no, there's a... We can talk about the whales. You want to talk about the whales?
What does this have to do with anything?
This doesn't have anything to do with anything yet. But maybe it's setting stuff up for later.
I was going to say, Jerry talks about whales being intelligent.
Except they beach themselves. But
I learned today that raccoons are smarter than cats.
Did you send me the picture of the raccoon dog?
Quite possibly.
And it's the only canine that hibernates?
It's ringing a bell. But that's why they don't make good... One of many reasons they don't make good pets is because they're too smart.
Dogs? Or whales?
Raccoons.
Oh.
Because their little hands, they can figure stuff out and they can get into trouble.
That is the reason that they don't make good pets. Also,
the only reason.
They're wild animals.
Oh, they're so cute.
You've seen that video of the exploding whale, right?
Yes. I watched it many times, and I don't know why. I think I was trying to figure out... Like, I knew what was happening, but the first time I saw it, I thought it was, like, spitting something out, and then, like, everything came out.
So, listeners at home, if you are wondering what we're talking about, in the, early 2000s? When's it from?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know it was old.
A small town needs to deal with a beached whale, and they decide to deal with it in the most obvious way possible by stuffing it full of TNT and exploding it.
That's that video? Wait a minute. There is a different exploding whale video that I have seen recently. Hold on.
It was in Oregon in the 1970s. Florence, Oregon.
The Oregon State Highway Division not only had a whale of a problem on its hands, it had a stinking whale of a problem. What to do with one 45-foot, 8-ton whale dead on arrival on the beach near Florence? It had been so long since a whale had washed up in Lane County, nobody could remember how to get rid of one. In selecting its battle plan, the Highway Division decided the carcass couldn't be buried because it might soon be uncovered. It couldn't be cut up and then buried because nobody wanted to cut it up, and it couldn't be burned. So dynamite it was, some 20 cases or a half-ton of it. The hope was that the long-dead
A half-ton of dynamite.
disintegrated by the blast, and that any small pieces still around after the explosion would be taken care of by seagulls and other scavengers. Indeed, the seagulls had been standing nearby all day. As everything was being made ready, we asked George Thornton, the highway engineer in charge of the project, for his final observation.
Well, I'm confident that it'll work. The only thing is we're not sure just exactly how much explosives it'll take to disintegrate this thing, so the scavengers, seagulls, and crabs and whatnot can clean it up.
Is there any chance it might be more than a one-day job?
If there's any large chunks left, and we may have to do some other cleanup, possibly set another charge.
The dynamite was buried primarily on the leeward side of the big mammal, so as most of the remains would be blown toward the sea. About 75 bystanders, most of them residents who had first found the whale to be an object of curiosity before they tired of its smell, were moved back a quarter of a mile away. The sand dunes there were covered with spectators and landlubber newsmen, shortly to become land blubber newsmen, with the blasted blubber beyond all believable bounds. Get one. That is good.
Oh, chunks are falling.
Our camera stopped rolling immediately after the blast. The humor of the entire situation suddenly gave way to a run for survival as huge chunks of whale blubber fell everywhere. Pieces of meat passed high over our heads while others were falling at our feet. The dunes were rapidly evacuated as spectators escaped both the falling debris and the overwhelming smell. A parked car over a quarter of a mile from the blast site was the target of one large chunk. The passenger compartment literally smashed. Fortunately, no human was hit as badly as the car. However, everyone on the scene was covered with small particles of dead whale. As for the success of the effort, the seagulls who were supposed to clean things up were nowhere in sight, either scared away by the explosion or kept away by the smell. That didn't really matter. The remaining chunks were of such a size that no respectable seagull would attempt to tackle anyway. As darkness began to set in, the highway crews were back on the beach burying the remains, including a large piece of the carcass which never left the blast site. It might be concluded that should a whale ever wash ashore in Lane County again, those in charge will not only remember what to do, they'll certainly remember what not to do.
I mean, knowing what not to do when a whale beaches itself in your town is pretty important.
Don't blow it up.
Don't blow it up.
So I have seen this, but recently, when scrolling Instagram, sort of like, shot from a boat, pleasant on the day on the water scene comes across a floating whale that obviously had been building up with gases after it died. And so they kind of like pause near this dead whale and it's just sort of bobbing. And then in an instant, it's just like it explodes itself. And then guts are just pouring out of it. Like a lot of guts pouring out of it very quickly. It's super, super gross.
That's much grosser and less funny than my exploding whale.
Well, how many exploding whale videos are there that we weren't talking about the same one?
The internet is a treasure trove of information.
I can't believe I didn't send you this. It was so disgusting. I had to share it.
So then we get to the two women in the toilet stalls.
20 minutes in, we can talk about this episode.
3 minutes of that was a YouTube video.
Eileen's wearing slouchy white socks. Like, one's folded over.
What kind of shoes are those called again?
Oh, I can't remember. She was obsessed with those shoes in that episode. Mm-hmm. Clydesdales? I don't know.
I don't think they were called Clydesdales. I don't think they would sell many women's shoes, if the model's shoe name was Clydesdale.
But you'd have to know that's a horse.
I mean, women are so dumb, they won't know that. They'll buy whatever we tell them to buy. So Elaine asks for 3 squares, obviously referencing, like, the toilet paper in public restrooms. It used to be that little, like, box with the squares that you would pull out. Remember those?
Oh, that horrible thing, yeah.
Poo tickets?
Yep, that's what they're called.
And then they changed to the big Ferris wheel? Mm-hmm. Now we got Ferris wheels. I wonder if they did, like, research into Ferris wheels versus poo tickets.
Like how much people use?
Yeah.
You got to be grabbing tickets for, like, 30 seconds.
It's like you're trying to win that giant oversized teddy at the carnival.
Also, that was, like, 1 ply.
Oh, it was terrible. It was like wax paper.
You're better off using one of those paper seat covers to wipe your ass with.
Why did poo tickets go out of fashion? I guess they couldn't, like, hold as much. I feel like the capacity of a Ferris wheel. No. I mean, in the stall, you would have to, like, replace them. So you recently went to the movies and you got popcorn. You were shocked by the price of the popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get the artificial flavoring?
No, when I went to get a straw for my pop, they had the self-administered pump of flavoring. Yeah. No, I didn't get that. No.
Did you get one of the shakers?
I don't think they have shakers.
Well, they had shakers when I went on
you went to a fancier theater than I did.
Go to a fancier theater than you did.
I made you go to the movies by yourself so we could talk about the movie that I saw without you.
Yep. I used to go to the movies by myself all the time. When I lived alone and my apartment didn't have air conditioning, and I'd be like, I gotta go somewhere with air conditioning. You go there, you get like 2.5 hours of air conditioning, you come out, you're freezing cold, you want to warm up somewhere, you go back home, you're fine.
Yeah, makes sense.
Either that or I would go and get a ridiculously large Slurpee at 7-Eleven.
And dunk it on yourself, or?
No, just drink it.
Elaine comes back to her seat. Where's my popcorn, babe?
How do you feel about couples that refer to each other constantly as babe? Babe.
Babe. Babe.
Babe.
Babe. I mean, there are worse pet names. Do I ever call you babe?
No, I called you babe jokingly like this past weekend, and it felt weird.
What is your pet name for me?
Pumpkin.
You're a liar. Don't have one? You know what?
What's your pet name for me?
I was going to say the most common thing that you call me is, I'm
doing that to collect my thoughts so I can provide them to you in a more efficient manner.
Yes, but you're also interrupting what I'm doing to get my attention before you've thought of what to say.
As your husband, I would like to interact with you and therefore interrupt you from whatever you're doing.
But you go, and then you wait there in silence for 10, 15 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
Minimum?
What a terrible life you must have. And apparently, like, you're going to live longer because men just, like, look up at balconies and ask, like, do you think I can jump off that?
So, this guy's dumb, right?
Well, he's a mimbo. He's a male bimbo.
Okay.
So this was the genesis of mimbo, I think.
I never heard mimbo. I've heard himbo.
Oh, I've only heard mimbo.
Oh, well,
I grew up in a family that called them mimbos.
I grew up in a family who called them
forbidden from interloping with families that called them himbos. So what would you do if somebody came up to the door and said, "Can I use your phone in the bedroom?"
No. Jerry lets him. He lets him, and he knows what he's going to do in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry has a cordless phone. If Kramer is going to pay him back, wouldn't he just say, "Take my phone to your apartment"?
Maybe it doesn't work through the walls. So we get explained our confusion. Elaine is there and she recounts her side of the story to Jerry, to which Jerry says, it's like asking for a canteen in the sand. It's battle conditions.
It's for asking for someone's canteen in the desert.
Have you ever had to ask like a person next to you for toilet paper?
I don't think so. I have given tampons to strangers in bathrooms.
I feel like that's a sisterhood.
Yeah. But no, I always check, and I don't know. I guess the people who are taking care of the bathrooms are doing a good job. No one's asked me.
Maybe with the Ferris wheel.
Yeah. Go in once a day. Because they got 2 huge rolls in there.
Yeah.
And Elaine wouldn't be able to take those out. Those were like regular sized rolls of toilet paper in her arms.
Maybe Monk's has like nice toilet paper.
I mean, it looked plush. A comedian I like, I don't know if she does it anymore, but would regularly just take toilet paper from restaurants. Like the whole roll.
Oh, yeah, it's free.
Stuff it in her purse.
There's no limit on it. You're going to use it anyway. So then Jerry gives Elaine a ride downtown to Tony's. And the conversation starts and she says, it's time to defrost your freezer.
Yeah, I wrote that too. That's weird. The freezer's just getting smaller and smaller.
Do you think they were just like, we need
something?
8 seconds of dialogue.
Yeah. Because then he lays into her about being superficial.
Yeah.
And she's trying to deny it. And she goes, "Oh, what about you?" He's like, "But I'm a man. We're expected to be superficial."
Uh-huh.
I mean, given who she's dated on this show and who Jerry's dated on this show.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's finally time for her to get some.
And she gets her comeuppance. She doesn't even get to date a mimbo.
Well, I mean, I guess we didn't see them kiss ever. We've seen Elaine, like, make out with other boyfriends. Mm-hmm. It's unfair to Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah. Maybe she did find him attractive.
Possibly.
Did we already know what Kramer's name was at this point?
We don't know what Kramer's name is.
Do you think people thought his name was Andre?
Oh, interesting.
Andre Kramer?
I mean, I think they knew it was a fake name.
Yeah, but I mean, in the absence of a name, like...
It's true, yeah.
If there had been a Reddit at the time, we'd be talking about it.
Yeah. You know his name, right?
Yes, I know his name.
Okay.
When do we find out his name?
When we meet his mother.
Babs?
Yeah.
So George has a man crush on Tony.
A non-sexual crush. They're sitting at the booth, and Tony has his hat on backwards, and
George turns his little hat around.
Very sillily.
His little boy cap.
What is it with the backwards hat and the gray sweatpants?
Works for me.
Tony was wearing gray sweatpants in this episode.
When?
I think when he was on the couch.
I don't know. I was looking at his bandaged face. So, they're going to go rock climbing mañana. Not at an indoor rock climbing place. They're going right up a mountain on the first day.
Well, that's crazy. You want to rush. Bowling is crazy. Who's the man? I am.
Yes, I thought of that too.
You should hear the way that Tony talks to waitresses. He gets free pie.
George is going to make sandwiches. Mm-hmm. And then Kramer shows up.
I think you're in love with him. You love him.
Now, I'm not a golfer, but is this how you rock climb?
I think it can be. So in like natural rock climbing, things like that, they have like carabiners like attached to the wall, and you have to like string your rope. So I think I don't know. I'm kind of making stuff up. I don't know.
Well, like George and Kramer are up there. How'd they get up there?
They were tied to Tony. So what did they untie?
So was he belaying them up?
And then he was going to climb up. So they had to like tie the rope to a thing, and then he could like hook the rope as he went.
But if he belayed them up there, he's on the ground, right?
Uh-huh.
So if they let go of his rope, he didn't fall. He was on the ground.
Well, if he starts to climb and they haven't knotted it off, then however high he climbs, then he falls.
In that time, he did not fall far enough to smash his
Maybe
face.
he was at a midway point and he was belaying them from a midway point.
I see. Nice leggings on Kramer.
His outfit is wild. He's wearing like a triple XL bright yellow tank top and black and purple striped
zebra leggings. George's pants are a little bit leggingsy. You notice later on too.
Oh yeah. Well, you gotta have good mobility when you're rock climbing.
I guess. So Jerry and Jane are having lunch at Jerry's apartment, and they've got, I don't know, messy, greasy sandwiches or something.
It was pizza.
Oh, it's a sandwich.
Whoa.
I'm joking.
So recently, a judge ruled in Michigan legally burritos are not sandwiches.
Why was this up for debate? They're not sandwiches.
There was a mall, and Panera had exclusive sandwich selling rights at the mall, and a Qdoba wanted to move in there.
Qdoba.
And so the judge ruled, and so Panera said, no, you can't sell burritos because they're sandwiches.
This is not a good look for Panera Bread to try and keep a Mexican restaurant off their turf.
So there are a couple of different organizations that have defined the sandwich. I believe in America, I should see if I can find the article, because there was there was the American Sandwich Institution, and then there was the Sandwich Enthusiast Society of the UK. And it had both of their definitions. Specifically, the American one did include wraps, but the UK one did not.
When does a wrap become a burrito?
When it's Mexican?
Well, what's in it? So if you put lettuce, chicken, is it the beans and the rice? Because everything else that's in a burrito, you could find in a wrap. Tomato, salsa.
I was recently listening to a chef on the podcast The Sporkful of Mexican descent, and he now had a restaurant or a food truck or something where he was selling like burritos with non-traditional like mac and cheese burrito, and he was like, growing up, we just like threw whatever we had into a tortilla and we ate it and we called it a burrito. And it's like, now I'm doing that, but it's like,
it's a big deal.
you know, it's a big deal. Like I imagine like you just throw whatever you want in a burrito. And if you're talking about it in Spanish in Mexico, you'd call that a burrito.
Yeah.
And if you were a Midwestern honky and you had a pita wrap and you fill it with whatever, you'd call it a wrap instead of a burrito.
You just said pita wrap. Pita is a different thing.
Well, I was trying to think of a flatbread.
So-
I think if you go to pita, I was about to say, if you go to Pita Planet, they put it in pitas instead of tortillas, of course, because it's, so a wrap is, are you saying that a wrap is different if it's a pita versus a tortilla?
Oh, absolutely, yes. But I'm saying like there's a spectrum of tortilla-based foods in tubular form. I'm not going to say sandwiches. At one end is like what you would call a wrap. And at the other end is a burrito. And like somewhere in the middle, you cross over.
The shawarma point inflection.
You know what? I would put shawarma in the middle.
Ooh.
I would. Because you're starting to have some more like pasty sauces in there.
Interesting. But you wouldn't have a whole hummus shawarma, but you could have like a bean and cheese burrito.
Yeah, but why would you? You know what I mean? Like, this is the point of this whole podcast right now, is figuring out this continuum. So I'm picturing a wrap as some grilled chicken, some lettuce, tomatoes, and like ranch dressing. Mm-hmm. Very manja cake. Delicious. But like, that's over here. And then you start adding some pickles, some hummus, a little bit of tahini, and you're in shawarma territory. Then you take out the hummus and you put in beans. Hummus is beans. It's garbanzo beans.
Those technically aren't beans.
Whatever, man.
Are they beans? Or, they might be beans. They technically aren't peas? I don't know.
Right? So there's,
you know that
there's
joke,
rice.
right?
There's rice in shawarma. There's rice in shawarma. You just swap
There's no rice in shawarma.
Yeah, you can get rice in shawarma.
You get it when you get a plate, but like they don't put it in a shawarma.
I've had it in a shawarma.
Nah, it's,
Buddy.
maybe in a gyro.
Where do we put heroes?
It's the Greek word for shawarma.
But
I was drunk one time in Greek town, and I was like, "Oh, can I get a chicken shawarma?" And the guy made fun of me.
Threw you out?
He didn't throw me out, no, but he did make fun of me.
I would put them closer to the wrap end. Because they're not more of a burrito.
Because it's whiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Well, basically, this is just the race. It's white on one end and non-white on the other, is what you're saying.
It's boring on one end and flavorful on the other, is what I'm saying.
A lot of mayonnaise on that
Yeah.
left side.
And then you hunk a bunch of garlic into that mayonnaise and put it in the middle for your shawarma. And then just replace everything with spice and chilies and salsa. And salsa verde.
So Kramer's introduced to Erica. Immediately recognizes her voice. Where were we in this episode?
Her flinty voice.
Yeah, you thought they said
I did. We had to go back and put subtitles on. I knew they didn't, but I didn't know what they said. I'd recognize that voice anywhere.
She said it so casually.
Yeah.
It was like she was Australian. So Elaine is coming up to the apartment. Okay, we were in the middle of her eating sandwiches. You said pizza is a sandwich, and it started this.
I don't remember my point. Oh yeah,
diversion.
You know, she doesn't share her napkin with Jerry, and she's gonna go
derision.
Diversion. You were right.
Digression.
Also right. And she's gonna head out the door. She goes, "My breath garlicky." He's like, "No, you're fine." And then Elaine's gonna come up.
Yep.
And so Jerry smartly is like, "Actually,
yeah, you need some of this gum."
and stuffs 8 pieces of gum in her mouth, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, he bought so much when he went to Chinatown. That hasn't happened yet. No.
Okay. That was a great gag.
How many pieces of gum do you think she had in her mouth?
I would say at least 8.
That's a lot.
Because, I mean, she was a very thin woman, but she was having trouble, like, opening her mouth enough to, like, move it around. I've had nightmares, recurring nightmares.
Do you have too much gum in your mouth?
Yes.
Just spit it out.
Well, I try in my nightmare. And you know when, like, you have bubble gum especially, or, like, go to take it out of your mouth, but, like, some is stuck, like, in your tooth, but then you're like, oh no, and you, like, kind of have to go in and grab the rest of it. Uh-huh. My recurring nightmare is chewing, like, grape Hubba Bubba and just having a full mouthful of gum and then, like, trying to pull it out of my mouth, and it just keeps stretching, it never ends. What do you think that means?
I don't know, but you should talk to someone. And so, what's her name? Jane. Jane leaves, and we hear, like, mumblings outside of Jerry's door because Tony took a bit of a tumble.
They take a really long time to say that he's alive.
It's true. I guess I knew that. Having watched it for the first time, I guess you did not.
No.
Did you really think they were going to say that Tony had died?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Maybe that's when you were cringing.
Maybe. But then there wouldn't be any Elaine's comeuppance where she reveals herself to be. At the end, she's like, you know, Jerry said, I thought you weren't with him for his looks. I was lying.
She admits it, yeah.
Yeah. He's my Mimbo. Maybe I'll learn to understand the true meaning of love.
What was that? I didn't catch the most of what you were saying there. Is that Kramer?
I didn't write anything else.
I wrote Step Off George.
Oh, yeah.
What about the driver? Zippy the Pinhead.
What's that?
I think Jerry's trying to console Elaine. She says, well, maybe I'll take the bandages off and he won't look like Zippy the Pinhead. I just thought it was funny he referenced Zippy the Pinhead.
There's 2 Superman references in this episode.
I think there's at least 3.
So George bringing Tony the comics.
And then there's a drawing on Jerry's fridge, and there's also a magnet on Jerry's fridge.
The magnet was there before.
Oh, sure.
But the child's drawing of Superman is
Weird.
new?
Yeah. I wonder if that was like part of the Cruise kids, maybe?
Probably.
Yeah. You can look up the internet. It has the issues that they used in the episode if you're inclined. I think it was like Superman 507 and Action Comics 620 something.
I think it was, I don't know, but I think it was these.
That's because I just read it while I was researching the episode. I did not write it down or remember.
And the last stand-up, Jerry's talking about extreme sports. He goes, at this point, the helmet is wearing you. Why do you wear a helmet when you jump out of a plane? I guess you could bump into something.
You could, yeah.
Another skydiver, a bird.
Maybe, like, even if your parachute does, I was going to say explode. Even if your parachute does deploy.
You could hit the ground pretty hard.
Or hit something, hit a tree branch,
or
a owl.
We went skydiving on our first anniversary of dating.
We did. You did not tell me we were going. You made me get into a car.
Mm-hmm.
I figured it out partway there.
I drove you an hour and a half out of town.
Mm-hmm. Didn't say a single word to me. Get in the car.
I told you to put on your gray sweatpants and let's go.
I think it was from wake up to leaving the house. I think it was like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you have any corrections?
Last episode was the conversion. So people who are Orthodox are called Orthodox Christians, not Orthotics.
I forgot about that.
It's not as catchy. There's interesting stuff about the Latvian Orthodox Church that I learned. First of all, I tried to find them in New York. I couldn't find any specific Latvian ones. There's 4 Orthodox churches in Queens, Armenian, Belarusian, and 2 Syrian/Indian Orthodox. There's more types in the other boroughs, but no Latvian. There are twice as many Lutherans in Latvia than Orthodox. Or Orthodox Christians. I wrote Orthodox. The hats were all basically correct. It's called a kamilavka. The hat's the priest had on. The sister's hat was probably not real. Because usually nuns and sisters don't wear a hat. They've got just like a thing and a thing on top.
A sheet?
Yeah, like a veil and a little, like, I don't know, whatever that's called.
A habit?
But I did find that hat. You can find it by Googling medieval Celtic Renaissance LARP hat. So until 2022, the Latvian Orthodox Church was recognized as a self-governing part of the Moscow Patriarchate of the Russian Orthodox Church. In September, the Parliament of Latvia directed the church to accept a status of autocephaly because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, those are all my corrections.
Hear about the new sanctions that the U.S. recently put on Russia because of the invasion of Ukraine?
No.
Yeah, apparently, they're targeting the tech sector, so Microsoft Windows will no longer be sold or, like, activated, used in Russia, and so the Russian government is switching everybody over to Linux, and some high-ranking Russian officials are expressing a little bit concerned. There's a lack of Linux experts in Russia. Mm-hmm. Also, they're finding it rather difficult to push somebody out of a 10th story Linux.
I'm going to find a...
Is it better if I say push their political opponents out of a 12th story Linux?
What did you say?
I think I just said people.
They're pushing everybody.
So what's up next week?
The next episode is called The Dinner Party.
I feel like this was prime, like, me into Seinfeld, because I'm sure there's things that I will forget, but Dinner Party, classic episode. I feel like this, if you had asked me, like, when did this episode happen, I would have said, like, super early, like season 2 or 3.
Oh.
You got Gore-Tex, you got Babka, you got the black and white cookie.
Oh, that's in Jerry's Place VR.
You got the, I don't even drink wine. You know what I drink? Pepsi.
Okay, that's it.
You got Saddam Hussein.
At the party?
Nope.
Well, I can't wait.
Bye.
Bye.
Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?